Welcome back to Financial Therapy. It's not just about the money. I'm personal financial planner, columnist, and financial therapist Rick Kaler. Research tells us that 90% of all financial decisions are made emotionally, not logically. For nearly 4 decades, I've been helping people make better money decisions. So what makes my financial worldview different from most financial experts? I blend the nuts and bolts of financial advice with the emotions that drive making them. Good money decisions are not just about the money. So let's get started with today's episode. Welcome back to another edition. And again, delighted to have Joy Slabaugh with us in our last podcast that we did. We had an amazing talk about trauma. And I appreciate, Joy, your depth and what you bring to this. I mean, as I said before, you are the complete package. So let's talk a little bit about this time about IFS. We kind of got into it last time. We talked about how IFS can be gentler, maybe more compassionate, maybe easier to approach for a lot of people. Let's talk a little bit more about what IFS is and how can IFS be used in the money world, in the money talk?
Sure. So thanks for having me. It's a delight to join you, Rick, and your audience. And I describe IFS as a collection of practices that humans have actually been using for thousands of years across all cultures. It's a way of building relationship with ourselves and with each other in ways that feel very normal and natural to humans. That's how I kind of describe what it is. And some guy 40 years ago figured out how to put terminology to it and codify it in ways that it's easy to teach and explain to other people. And he called it IFS, or internal family systems. Now, it's built on this idea that humans, normal human healthy psychology, is that we have multiplicity of our mind, that it's normal and healthy to actually feel and want different things at the same time. Doesn't mean you're broken. That just means you're a human. So you're listening to this podcast, maybe, part of you wants to be listening to it, or you wouldn't be listening to it. Maybe another part of you really wants to get some work done and check something off your to-do list. Maybe another part of you actually wants to call a friend and talk with them. You may simultaneously want all 3 of these things at the same time. And that is normal. That is that you have different parts of you that want different things, that feel different ways. So that is how humans work. And then, when our parts are all in alignment with each other, we're able to just really easily move through the world with just flow and ease. You've probably experienced that at some point in your life where you felt this flow state. And in IFS terminology, we would say this is where your parts are allowing your self-energy to lead. And self-energy is something that IFS calls it self-energy. Other practices might call it chi or prana or God or universe or source or energy. There's a lot of terms for this across different human traditions. And the idea is that as we get to know the different parts of us that want different things and feel different ways about things, we have greater ease. It's easier for us to live, to make decisions, to manage our money, to follow a budget, to do whatever, to spend if that's where it's hard for us, to do whatever it is that we need to do. So that's what IFS is. And again, it's something that has been used across all human traditions throughout the history of humanity. And it's something that is used in multiple fields. It just so happens that it was codified in the therapy field 40 plus years ago. And so it's considered a therapy modality. And also it has enormous applications well beyond therapy.
Yeah, there's so many applications. There's a book that I have a chapter in called Freeing Self. It's out of New Zealand. And just all sorts of ways people are using IFS in dietitians, medical professionals, coaching,
mediation, leadership development.
Yes. Yeah. So it's become very popular. In fact, so popular that a couple of years ago you had to get on a waiting list. I think waiting lists were as high as 18,000 people.
Yeah.
I had one of my associates apply for 25 different trainees
Wow.
and get rejected for every one of them.
Oh, that's hard. Yeah.
So it's become very, very popular with the mental health community.
Mhm.
Um, and we talked last time. Maybe you could say a little bit about some of the big differences with IFS and say more traditional methods of counseling. And I know that I just included 8 different modalities
Mhm.
with that. But what do you see as some of the the more standout
Mhm.
differences with IFS?
I think a key difference is that IFS recognizes that people are ultimately the expert on themselves. You are the expert on you. I am the expert on me. Our clients are the expert on themselves. And so it is not the practitioner's role to tell people what to do or fix them. Our role is to come alongside them, help them build relationship with themselves so they're able to see, hear, understand what their parts need, give them choice. And that is when people are able to spontaneously make behavior changes. This can be really helpful in the financial planning field because, I mean, how many times have you heard a financial planner say, "Oh, I just, I don't know why this client says they want to do this. They keep telling me they're going to do it and they haven't done it. It's been dragging on for years." And sometimes advisors will say, maybe I should fire them because they won't follow my advice.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right. This is resonates with a lot of advisors. Either you felt it or you know someone who that this is a real challenge for them. And this is where the idea of the concepts that are in IFS are can be so helpful for financial advisors when you realize that this is just your client being a human, and that part of them wants to make this change and part of them does not want to make this change. Frankly, that's what's happening. I was going to say it's as simple as that, but it's never actually simple. Then as we get into it, there's always nuance. But this is where our role as financial planners can be that we can help our clients recognize the internal conflict they have. We can actually help them build relationship with these parts of themselves. And then that is when clients start to spontaneously make change. They're like, oh yeah, this thing, yeah, I'm doing this. Before you know it, they've actually changed their behavior. And it did not require you micromanaging an Excel spreadsheet of tasks for them to get everything done.
Joy, I can hear some planners listening to this, probably not regular listeners, that are saying, oh, time out. People are coming to me for solutions. They are coming to me for advice. And you're telling me I'm not the expert on the client and that they can solve their own problems. I mean, Joy, where you are floating out in the Netherlands. What do you mean?
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So I'll say to the advisors, every advisor I know has a nerdy analytics side. I mean, I do too. We would not get in this field if we didn't love the dorky analytics of it, right? Yes.
Yep, totally. 100%.
We can nerd out with the best of them. And that's really valuable. And many advisors I know are also very people oriented. They like talking with people. I know some who don't, but many advisors do. That's also really valuable. So where the distinction I'll offer is like you have an incredible expertise as a financial planner. You stay up on the tax code. You're staying up on all these things that, and you understand how to apply them to real life situations. However, where advisors get stuck is we largely are not trained in how do we help people with behavior change. The assumption in the financial planning industry is that if you give people enough information, they will change their behavior. And I can
Totally.
say that is true for some people, but not for most people. And so, if we want to change behavior and get clients to actually be acting on this incredibly elegant advice that we're providing to them, then sometimes we need more tools than just giving them information. That is one tool that's really helpful, but it only gets us so far. And I want to acknowledge that in the field industry, we are not really trained on this behavior change piece. And advisors are left on their own to figure it out, trial and error.
I remember a guy, Cumbie, who was once president of the FPA and one of the members of the Pioneers, said, "We are change agents."
Yeah.
Well, we are, or maybe I hate to use ought and should.
Maybe aspire to be change agents?
Yes, there you go. We aspire to be change agents, but we don't have a clue on how to help people with change. And to your point, I was I've said before that I had such a big left brain that it took me 12 years in group and 160,000 inflation adjusted dollars to find my right brain. I was one of those advisors that did not feel comfortable in the emotional side. So if an emotion got out, I'd smash that thing out and go back to how about the mutual fund chart? Let's talk about the performance of those mutual funds.
Standard deviation, anyone?
Oh yeah, beta, alpha, Sharpe ratio. Let's go.
Yes.
So, and I totally bought into information will cause change. And it was just devastating to me when I learned, and this is not a research number, it's the 80-20 rule, that 20% of people's financial problems can be healed, changed, solved with information. But 80%, it won't move the needle. And this is why the Nasrudin Project was founded in 1995. Is a group of us advisors were saying, we're doing something wrong. Because a third of our clients, we're giving them wonderful advice. We're solving the problem, beautiful plans. And they walk out of our office and like in South Dakota, we do a lot of skeet shooting with a shotgun. Mm-hmm. They just blow up the plan.
Yep. Yeah.
So this is just so spot on with why a person needs more tools. Why should a financial planner be interested in IFS specifically? Mm-hmm. Why that? Why not doing a certification in life planning? There's plenty of certifications like that. What is adding IFS to my repertoire going to do for me?
Yeah. So there are, what I think is great is that there are some more and more folks in the planning field who are recognizing that we need to be doing more than just throwing information at people and giving them Monte Carlo simulations. And I think this is a wonderful change. However, it is tricky. So you want to bring more skills. How do you develop those? There are any number of folks who have developed courses and trainings. Well, they will share a lot of information and theories with you. However, remember, these are problems not solved by information. So giving more information, even psychological information, it's going to solve some problems, but a lot of problems it's actually not going to solve. And so this is where I think it's really important if you want to build your skills here, you want to invest, number one, in experiential learning, because the magic is in how do you apply this to real life situations, starting with yourself. Can you apply this to you and figure out how it applies to you? So that's one thing I would say is experiential. And then the second thing is I think it's helpful to have a system that's repeatable. And that's what IFS gives you. It is a framework that is really simple once you know it, once you learn it, and then you can apply to a lot of different situations. It's very flexible. And that's what we need, right? Is we need a tool set that we know how to apply, and how we do that, how we figure out how to apply it is by applying it first to ourselves then applying people who are safe, where it's not going to blow up a multi-million-dollar client relationship. And then as you have that confidence, then you can apply it to your actual clients. So IFS gives you a framework that's easily used and applied in a lot of situations. And it also, if you get training from a really solid and reputable place, it's going to be experiential, where you're getting to feel it yourself so that you know what it is you're asking your clients to do and you have felt it. And that is what really helps learning, and frankly can be transformational. And just about every advisor I know who's gotten trained in IFS has talked about how it transformed their life. It didn't just increase their client skills, it transformed the relationships in their life and their life satisfaction as well.
Oh, Joy. We can go about 12 more different directions here. Because I'm thinking one of the mantras that I use is you can only take a client as far in life planning and into the emotional landscape as you've gone yourself.
Yeah.
And I will tell people that if you can't get into a training, even if you can, the best place to learn IFS is become a client. And how long? I think I just went into my 9th year, and I still have weekly IFS sessions. It's highly valuable to do your own, doing your own work. But you're talking about, okay, I'm learning this repeatable system. It has structure and a framework to it. But Joy, therapists do this stuff. Oh my God. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm getting into areas that I don't know. I could do harm. This is scary. They may not say that, but this is scary. I'm not a therapist.
Yeah. Well, and this is what I'll offer, is that a couple things. One, if you're a financial advisor and you're even halfway good at your job, you're already using therapeutic techniques and you just don't know it. Like if you ask your client questions, spoiler alert, therapeutic intervention right there. Does that make you a therapist? Right. Does not make you a therapist just because you're asking questions. So I want to say that right there, right? That there's a lot of tools and things from the therapy world we can bring to financial planning that frankly make your job a whole lot easier, where you aren't necessarily offering therapy. There's a difference. Reflective listening, therapeutic skill. Many good advisors use that. So that's one thing I'll offer. Another thing I'll offer is I do think it's smart and important to give a lot of thought to and get some consultation about how comfortable are you willing to go, to the point you were saying, Rick, you don't want to go take your clients deep if you haven't gone deep yourself. That is dangerous and that is harmful. I'm going to be clear and upfront about that. However, a lot of what you're doing in IFS is you're being a human. You are being with someone and you are hearing them deeply. And you are with them as they're having some experience that they're having, and you're just with them in that. And that's being human. And so as you, if you want to build the skills to do that, you can, and there's ways you can safely do it. That's not getting out over your skis and practicing therapy. Or if you don't want to build the skills to do that, you can refer out. You can refer to people like me, to Rick, to others. But you can refer out. And so you've got options here, right? You can do it yourself or you can refer out.
I think one of the most brilliant things of many things Ted Klontz has said, when people ask, how do I know if I've gone too far? He said, when you become uncomfortable. And I thought, for a very simple statement that said so much. And some of the things you've said, Joy, I think of a survey, research done by Lethbridge University in 2003. And they surveyed 30 financial planners. And they basically said, you make referrals to everybody except therapists. You're the quarterback of the football team, but one of the players is not a therapist. Why? And they came up with a number of reasons. I don't know one. I've never done it. It's a black hole. And then they came back and said exactly what you said. Well, guess what? You're doing therapy and you're not trained. You're actually making therapeutic statements and you have no training to do so. And you're so afraid of causing harm. Well, guess what? You already are. And that was 23 years ago. Also, to your point, Ted Clance used to say, and I don't think he had any research on this because I've tried to find it, but he said 70% of the outcome, the positive outcome of a therapeutic alliance is based on two things: the bond the client has with the therapist and the effectiveness of their deep listening skills. And that number doesn't sound crazy to me, because those are two very important aspects. And I asked planners, well, how's that in your relationship with your clients? Do you have a bond? Well, hello.
Yeah. And I'll add on to that. So there's a lot of research that has been done to be, why does therapy work? And there is a study I'm thinking of specifically that they found 40% of the effects of therapy, positive effects of therapy, come down to the relationship between the therapist and the client. That's the relationship, regardless of what intervention is used. It's the relationship. And so I offer to financial advisors, like, you have a really trusted relationship with your clients, or many of you do, right? A really trusted relationship with your clients. That in and of itself can be healing and can bring about behavior change. And so you have a lot of power here. One thing that I would invite is, do you want to get curious about why it works? Like, what is it about your relationship that some clients are changing and other clients aren't? And as you learn more about, there's ways you can harness it so that you can have greater impact. That's one of the things that started me down this path early as a financial advisor. I was asking that, why do some clients follow my advice and not others? I hired a psychologist and he taught me what I now realize is about this much information about systems theory, but it was transformational for me and gave me an edge. And it really helped me differentiate myself from other advisors. And then, when I learned more and more, but got a counseling degree and learned more and more, but a little bit of understanding about why what you're doing works allows you to bring that to other people in a more intentional way. So it allows you to get more results with more of your clients and help them get the behavior change and the life change. That's why they're coming to you.
Absolutely. And another thing you said that spurred a thought was, I like to explain to people that IFS is a facilitating. You are a facilitator. You already hit on this. It's not a problem solver. You're not solving emotional problems with a client. You're helping the client interview parts of themselves and getting to hear their stories and just serving as a guide. Yeah. And that's very different from a lot of therapeutic modalities that are trying to manage, advise, control these parts.
Yeah. I think that the advisors I know who are most skilled as advisors, uniformly, they say 90% of my conversations with clients have nothing to do with money. It's like, yeah, it's because this is about the relationship. And this is where, if you're an advisor like that, this is where IFS can allow you to use your relationship with them in ways that is even more transformational than maybe what you've witnessed with them so far. It can be really, really powerful at helping people experience a grounded sense of calm and ease and peace, honestly. And that is why they hire you, right? They're not actually hiring you for a financial
Yes.
plan. They're hiring you to feel peace and calm.
Yes.
And numbers may or may
Yes.
not give it to them, but allowing them to access that peace and calm inside of them, that is going to survive any market fluctuation.
Absolutely. I mean, you're taking words out of my historical mouth. I used to say exactly that. We're in the business of helping people find serenity and peace.
Yeah.
We're helping you sleep better at night.
Yeah. And so something I would encourage, if there's people who are listening who are consumers, right? You want a great advisor. It is hard to find advisors who are trained in IFS. There are some, but it's hard to find them. But you want to find advisors who have done their own work. And the best advisors I know have been in therapy. I'm just going to say it. So if you're an advisor and you're listening to this and you consider yourself a great advisor and you're not in therapy, maybe I'm going to say very respectfully, but maybe there's actually room for you to get even better than you are. And so if you're shopping for advisors, like, hey, find out what their relationship with therapy is like, because that's going to impact how they show up with you as a client. And you're going to have a very different experience with someone who has done their own work.
You are ringing the bells. I had an advisor this week ask me, I'm going to get into therapy, but I don't suppose I can write that off. And they're a life planner. I'm like, whoa, hold it. That's a twofer.
Yeah.
That's
Professional development.
absolutely training you in a life skill by being the client. That is so highly valuable.
Yeah.
You absolutely can do that in this profession.
Yeah.
So,
like, I know we're not giving tax advice on this podcast, but professional development, like, what is professional development if not going to therapy to experience this yourself so you can show up differently with your clients?
yep. And this is the masters in taxation talking here, folks.
Not providing advice.
But she's not giving tax advice. She is not giving tax advice.
Imagine the fine print at the bottom of the screen.
Oh, and also I find a value if you know IFS, if your planner can talk in parts talk. They may not do the deep dive of IFS with you, but they might know enough to be able to talk the talk with you.
Mm-hmm. That can be really helpful.
It's a bridge between purely money talk and a bridge between doing a part session and going deep. Is just well, check in with that part of yourself right now. What's going on there? Okay, and another part of you wants to do this, and just having that common language can be so helpful.
Yeah. Agreed. And I'll also say to advisors, right, as you're thinking about building these skills, like, just like questioning is a skill and checking and reframing and restating, there's ways you can do this using parts language that can really allow your clients to feel seen and heard in a much deeper way. And the adjustment from you and what you're doing differently is a micro adjustment. It's very little difference that you're doing can make a really big difference in how your client is experiencing their interactions with you.
Beautifully framed. Joy, we are out of time again. This is just so rich. Where can people find you? And you do have a training program for advisors.
I do, yes. I do train advisors in how they can use IFS, incorporate it in their practice. It's experiential, and they can learn that. Yeah, so you can check out my website, joyslabaugh.com, Joy, Joy, Slabaugh, S as in Sam, LAB as in boy, AUGH.com. And you can follow me on LinkedIn. I'm also on Instagram at Wealth Alignment. And if this is something that sounds interesting to you or you have questions about, you also on my website, there's a way you can easily schedule like a 15-minute conversation that we can talk more about what you loved, what you hated about what we talked about, and what it might look like for you to go deeper into this with your clients. Or if you're someone who wants to experience this in relation to your money, like, You can also set up time if we could talk what that would look like.
Joy, thank you so much. This has been so rich. There's about 5 more hours of conversation that we can have.
Thanks for having me, Rick. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye. Thanks for joining me, Rick Kaler, for another episode of Financial Therapy. It's not just about the money. This is where I combine the nuts and bolts of financial advice with the emotions that drive making them. Remember, every financial behavior, whether it appears illogical to you or others, makes perfect sense when we understand the underlying beliefs, feelings, and thoughts. Sign up for my weekly blog at financialawakenings.com. I hope you'll join me again for our next episode.